Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Brownie's Bytes. Today I wanted to talk about I Am Setsuna, a new game by Square Enix that came out a few months ago. So I kind of wanted to do this video a little bit differently than the way I've usually been doing videos. Usually I do like a structured review. Today I'm kind of just going to talk about the game while still kind of reviewing it. And just kind of break it down into sections. There's going to be spoilers in this, so if you don't want any spoilers, just skip it now. But yeah, I pretty much just wanted to talk about this game and say what I think about it and how I feel about it. So I found the game just by going through the PSN store. I was just scrolling along the games one day and I saw the icon, the logo here, the I Am Setsuna logo. And I thought, that looks pretty interesting. What's this all about? So I clicked on it and watched. I have my cell phone here, it says my notes on it. So I clicked on it and watched the little trailer that they showed at the beginning. And it was like, I saw that it was made by Square Enix, and I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty interesting. I like a lot of Square Enix's stuff, so hopefully this is cool. And then I saw the gameplay, and I noticed, like, this is like an old school style RPG, like they used to make, but on the PS4, like a top-down kind of turn-based attack, random encounter sort of deal. And I was like, this is pretty interesting. I'm a huge fan of that kind of gameplay, so that really got me excited to, pick this game up and try it out. So I beat the game not too long ago, and overall, I gotta say I had a really good time with it. I thought it was a really interesting RPG. It was cool that Square Enix was able to publish a game like this. I don't think they had the complete development control. They probably had like their hand in it, but I feel like RPG Factory was like the main developers behind this game. But I just think it's cool that we live in a time now where like Square could just get this team together and then put it out digitally, They didn't put like a whole bunch of advertisement behind this, and they didn't have to like make physical copies or anything. I think it's just cool that Square thought back to its older fan base of people who like to play turn-based RPGs and was like, hey, let's put something together for that fan base. I think that's pretty cool. I have watched quite a few reviews of this online and like looked up what people have said, and a lot of people don't like it all that much. A lot of people aren't raving about it, saying it's a cool game or anything like that. A lot of people are kind of dissing it and saying it's just like a cheap version of like Chrono Trigger, which is what a lot of people have been saying. A lot of people have been referring it to Chrono Trigger and saying it's not quite as good, and saying it's nowhere near as good as Chrono Trigger, and that it steals a lot of things from it. And yes, I have to say it's completely not original. It does borrow a lot from other games, but just to bash the entire game just because of that one reason alone, it's still a cool game, and I think it's still interesting for people who like turn-based RPGs, like the Super Nintendo, early PS1 RPGs. For people who love those types of games, I think this is something cool and something fun that people can play. Yeah, is it as good as some of those games from back then? Not quite. It's not fully original, but I think it's still fun to play, and it is better than some probably. So I'm just going to go into the story a little bit here about the game. So the story, this is one of the areas where it's not too original. The story is very similar to what I thought, Final Fantasy X. Not completely ripping it off, but borrowing like a major plot point. Basically, you're this guy named Ender, who's like a hired assassin. He gets hired to do a job where he has to kill this girl named Setsuna. So he goes to her, finds out who she is, but then when he finds out that it's like this young girl and he has to kill her, it's optional, up to you if you want to feel bad about it or not. And she kind of tells him her story, like what she's doing. Basically, she's like there's this evil monster thing that's like sending all these fiends into the land, and she has to go and sacrifice herself so that the fiend, the big bad like enemy of the whole game, kind of like backs off for a few years, which is pretty similar to Final Fantasy X with the way Yuna has to fight Sin, and she sacrifices herself and Sin leaves for a while and then he comes back, and then there's like a new person that goes on the pilgrimage. It's a very similar story that way, Ender decides, well, I'll just help you get to the end of the pilgrimage that you want to do, and that way you're still going to die anyway. So he still kind of does his assassination job, sort of, and he doesn't have to do it himself. Along the way, throughout the game, you meet different characters, and The characters' backgrounds, they do go in depth with each character, and I do like a lot of the stories behind each character and the relationships between the characters. I thought there was some pretty cool plot twists near the end that caught me completely off guard, and I thought it was pretty cool. Some people have said that the story was completely predictable. I don't completely agree with that. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm just gullible. It threw me off a lot. And near the end, there were some things that I was like, holy shit, that's this? Like, oh my god. But I don't know, if some people aren't into it, I guess you're not into it. But I enjoy it. So the gameplay is your typical JRPG for like the PS1, Super Nintendo kind of era. You have like your sprite that you move around the screen. It's more like Chrono Trigger in this way, where like you see your enemy on screen first, and then when you get near to them, then the battle just happens in that area. It's not like the screen stops and then breaks away and opens up and you're in like a battlefield kind of thing. It's exactly like Chrono Trigger, where you go running and then all of a sudden, hey, there's enemies, and you fight. You jump into formation and start fighting. And it's the same kind of thing where you can like use your partners to like do moves together, things like that. But the gameplay is fun. I did enjoy battling. It is turn-based, and I haven't played a good turn-based RPG in a while. I guess not since I did the review of Legend of Dragoon. I haven't really played a turn-based RPG in a while, so it was kind of a nice refresher, especially for a game that like I've never even played before. It was kind of nice. But yeah, overall, I did really enjoy the gameplay. So now the visuals of this game. The visuals are really, really, really done well. They kind of look like they're hand-drawn or like hand-painted like visuals, like the artwork. The background is the same like graphical style, I guess, as your sprites. So it's not like a PS1 game where like the backgrounds are pre-rendered and then your character's a polygon. It's like the whole graphics are done the same way. Everything's polygons and everything's like hand-brushed artwork. It looks super, super nice. Everything's very clean, very smooth. It's very, very nice and it's super pretty to look at. Now, the whole game pretty much takes place with like snowy areas and like snowy backgrounds. So there's not a whole lot of different like colors that happen. A lot of whites and blues and things like that. So that's kind of a letdown. But when you get near the end and like you see a lot more of like the reds and the oranges coming out, it's, I don't know, it's really cool. I liked the artwork. It would have been cooler to see different landscapes with different environments rather than just snow the whole time through. But it's kind of like part of the story. So if you play the game, you kind of understand why it's like that. There's a lot of detail in the visuals too. There'll be points where like you're walking through a village and then because it's super windy and there's like a lot of snow on a branch, the snow will like brush off and you'll see the animation. And it's like little subtle things like that that really help make this game's world feel like alive and like really thought out. The character designs are also pretty cool for each of the characters. Ender's got like this weird mask thing on and like this long ponytail. People say that he's another ripoff of Trigger from Chrono Trigger just because of like the colors and the fact that he uses a sword. But, I mean, whatever. I think he looks completely different. Yeah, sure, the colors are kind of similar, but to say it's a ripoff, I mean, he doesn't look like a Dragon Ball Z character, so it's not a complete ripoff. Sure, the colors are similar, but that's about it, I think. He's a silent protagonist, and you get to optionally say what he says. Like, it'll give you options to say back in conversations, which is kind of cool. It's not just like everyone's telling you what to do and you just do it. So that's kind of cool about it as well. You have choices, but the choices don't really amount to too much, but it's still pretty cool. The music in the game was pretty different. The entire soundtrack is all just done with one piano. So one guy wrote all the music for this game just on one piano. He probably recorded it all the same day. And it's pretty interesting. I've never really heard a soundtrack like this before. The way that he can convey different moods and different feelings with just one piano it's kind of cool, you know? Like, there's nice peaceful music for when you're in like the world map, and then like when a battle happens, it gets all hectic. There's not too many different songs throughout the soundtrack, but still, I think it's pretty decent soundtrack. It's very peaceful throughout the game. I felt very calm playing through this game. It's fairly easy too. I'm going to say that as well. It's not a very, very challenging game. The end boss was kind of hard, but getting up to that point wasn't too bad. So the whole experience felt kind of relaxing. It wasn't like a breeze to get through, but it still wasn't too hard. You will have to do some grinding, but not like too much out of your way. Also, the game only clocks at about like 30 to 40 hours. So it's kind of short compared to like your typical JRPG. Usually I'd spend around 50 to 60 hours beating a game, whereas this one it took about 30 to 40, which isn't too bad, to be honest. Nowadays, with like full-time jobs and like other things I have going on, to be able to just sit down and play a game and stay interested enough to beat the whole thing, it's kind of nice. When I was a kid and I had like all the time in the world to just sit down and play RPGs after school, yeah, I could beat like an 80-hour game in like a couple months, maybe less than that. But nowadays it's like, I don't know, some games, if they get too long and the story's not interesting enough, sometimes I just kind of put them down. So this game, I didn't really feel bored and I didn't feel like it was a chore to play. I sat down when I had free time and I'd play through it. It was a really relaxing, nice experience. I kept coming back to it. So I guess, that's probably a positive thing to say about it, I guess. But yeah, overall, I really, really liked this game. A lot of people that I've seen have been bashing it, saying, oh, it's a Chrono Trigger ripoff, oh, it's a Final Fantasy X story ripoff, blah, 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 it's not that good. Personally, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, is it the best turn-based RPG in the world? No, not at all. But it's something fun and it's new, it's interesting, it's different. I think people need to stop complaining so much and just kind of enjoy what we got at this point. There's a lot of things with modern gaming that I do not like and I do not agree with. But this was kind of cool, the fact that Square thought, hey, let's put out a game like we used to. We'll just put a team together, say our thoughts about it, we'll publish it for them, and we'll put it out not for free, we'll put it out on the PSN store. It is pretty expensive. I think it's like $40, which is probably like about $10 more than I would like to pay. But it's still a good experience and it's still quite a bit of fun. There's games out there that cost like way more than this game that are not near as fun. So I would recommend it if you're a fan of turn-based RPGs from like the Super Nintendo, PS1 era. If you really liked Final Fantasy or you liked Chrono Trigger, this could be right up your alley. It's pretty calm and timid throughout the whole game. Like nothing's too crazy or adventurous. The story moves at a good pace, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not full of lots of action and excitement. It's kind of like a chill RPG. I don't know, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. And I feel like it's not getting the love that I think it should get. Maybe I'm alone in this. I don't know. It seems lately like, same with my Mirror's Edge review, a lot of people didn't like that game either, but I thought it was pretty good. Maybe I just like bad games. If that's the case, I shouldn't probably be reviewing them, but I thought it was good. Check it out if you get the chance. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.